Hey everyone, I'm Edward and I run Partner Technology here at Striim. Today I'll be talking a bit about Striim, a strategic Microsoft partner. So Striim is a streaming ETL platform which enables you to continuously ingest data from a variety of sources, typically transactional databases, and push it to one or many targets. In the middle, there's a streaming processing engine which allows you to do transformations, enrichment, and other pre-processing all in memory in flight. This enables a continuous 24/7 feed of data into Azure, drastically increasing Azure consumption and decreasing the user's time to insight. And just stepping back a little bit, Stream was founded by the same founders as Golden Gate Software, or now Oracle Golden Gate. So prior to being sold to Oracle, they had a customer advisory board, which really enabled them to see into the future of what customers were looking for their upcoming use cases. And two main themes came out of that. One was the ability to ingest from non-transactional sources and write to non-transactional targets. And then the second was the ability to do something with that data while it was in flight. So then the team came back together, really with those two main ideas in play. So we still have all of that context and knowledge from building out a previous CDC platform, but now have put it together in this next generation platform to add in a wide variety of functionality and support these latest use cases. Talking about use cases, given Stream as a platform, typically we focus on three primary ones. The first one is cloud adoption. So this is zero downtime database migrations from on-premises or other clouds to Azure. With that log-based CDC technology, we support zero downtime and also enable the ability to keep the source and target databases in sync for a period of time prior to the application cutover, really reducing risk and enabling use cases that customers might otherwise be wary to execute. We actually have a joint program in place with Microsoft. So for specific use cases, which your internal DMS tools don't support, we use Striim to help augment those use cases. Outside of migrations, typically we focus on hybrid cloud integration. So more often analytical use cases of, say, replicating data from Oracle to Synapse, where the customer doesn't want to necessarily get rid of Oracle, but they'd like to offload any analytical queries to the cloud. So again, with log-based CDC, can keep the source and target in sync for years at a time. So when you think about Stream, think about all of the enterprise use cases, most critical data integrations. So when there's Oracle or SQL Server as a source, we have a lot of history of working with these database technologies. If it's a zero downtime migration or large size and heavy volume of moving terabytes of data at a time. And then lastly, heterogeneous data movement. So with that streaming processing engine in the middle, you can execute these transformations and really enable these heterogeneous data movements. In terms of the migration side, again, think of Stream for the most critical migrations. So for Cosmos, heterogeneous, for DB for Postgres, anytime going from Oracle to Postgres, or the largest homogeneous migrations, as well as for DB for MySQL. So from here, I'll go ahead and dive into a demo. So today I have an Oracle to DB for Postgres demo, which will really just show the Stream platform and what a typical use case looks like. So here we are in the Stream UI. You can deploy Stream either as a fully managed SaaS, Striim Cloud, or self-hosted either on-premises or in your own Azure subscription. Really what we care here about is applications, or what we call data pipelines from a source to a target. What you'll notice is we have all these different application groups because a zero downtime migration or continuous replication, consists of two processes: the bulk historical load, as well as the log-based CDC process to continuously capture any new inserts, updates, and deletes. So if we go to the initial load application, there are a variety of ways to create applications, but one of the main ways is this drag and drop interface. So simplest application is the one we have here. Drag and drop a source, drag and drop a target, configure your connection properties, and you're good to go. In the middle, you can also do a variety of transformations, enrichment, and other processing, either with these out-of-the-box transformations, with SQL queries, or even Java code. So if we go to our source, um, in this demo, we're using a ticketing application, so for baseball and football tickets, running on top of an Oracle database. So here, all of our tables are located within that DMS sample schema, which we're going to migrate to DB for Postgres. So just specifying our connection properties here. Before running the initial load, we'll just run a simple count star on one of our largest tables. So this is our target database, and you can see that our target is currently empty. So we'll go back to Striim and start the application. So what Striim is going to do is first check the schema to make sure the source and target match. We're okay with that, so we'll click continue. And now we'll actually start the data movement. You'll see down there in the bottom of the page a preview window, so you can get a sample for some of this data. Here you can see some baseball player data. So that's just contained in one of those tables within that DMS sample schema. Up top, we have total input and output counts, as well as the associated rates. And then we can also dive into additional metrics in this application progress window. So here we actually get a progress bar both for the entire migration as well as each individual table. So this can just ensure that the initial or bulk historical load is migrating smoothly. So with that started, I'll go ahead and just fast forward real quick so then we can get to see what it looks like when the initial load is complete. So with the initial load complete, we can now see that our input and output metrics match. And then up top, our application is now in the completed stage. So if we go back to that progress monitor window, let's scroll down to that sporting event ticket. So that table that we queried on the target database prior to running this app. And we can see that there are about 37.2 million rows in there. So then if we just go to the target database, we'll run that count star again. Just give it a minute for this query to complete. And now we can see that our initial load is complete. So with the initial load complete, we can go back to Striim and let's go to the CDC application. So if we just go back to our main page and then click on that CDC app, what you'll notice is it looks remarkably similar to our initial load app. The only difference is we're using this other source component. So we're using an Oracle reader to read from the underlying Oracle redo logs and capture any of those new changes, just specifically on this single table, which will be changed when people purchase tickets. Our target is the exact same as the initial load. You can actually literally copy and paste it from the initial load application. Prior to running the CDC app, we'll just run a select star on our CDC table, and you can see that our target is empty. And now what we'll do is we'll start the CDC application. What we'll notice is by default, we're only looking for new changes. And since this isn't an active database, we don't actually have the application running. We don't have any data moving through. But what we'll go ahead and do is run this simple script to simulate that people are purchasing tickets. And now we can see that Striim is instantaneously picking up all of those new changes and then replicating them to DB for Postgres. So down there in the bottom, again within that preview screen, you can see some of that sample data as well as the associated metadata. And we can just validate that we're replicating data to DB for Postgres by running that same select star query. So now we have a 24/7 live feed of data into Azure, which you can further utilize with Azure's broader ecosystem. So in our demo, what we're doing is we're just running Power BI on top of this DB for Postgres instance. So just simulating what you can do when you combine Striim plus Azure. So this is just running some simple analytics on our target database. We can see our total ticket sales. We have 0 sold out games. Perhaps you want to sell out some games, as well as the average ticket price. Maybe we want to increase that or increase it based off of specific rows, and some additional information. So really just showing what you can do when you combine Striim and Azure products. Again, I'll just go ahead and fast forward real quick. And then if we get back into Striim, just a few other things I wanted to show quickly. So there's actually a monitoring suite. So we just click that monitor button in that top menu bar. So this actually shows the infrastructure that Striim is running on. You can ensure that everything is running smoothly. And then we can actually dive into application-specific monitoring as well. If we just click that monitoring button. So here you can take a look at your sources, you can take a look at your targets, make sure the amount of events in equal the amount of events out, and then Striim even computes the end-to-end lag, so the amount of time that it takes from reading a record on the source to writing it on the target, as well as provides additional details here. So you can really just ensure that your continuous replication is running smoothly. Besides the monitoring, if we continue up there in that top menu bar, you can also create specific users. So this is helpful if you have larger teams using Striim. You can have users with application creation privileges or users with just monitoring privileges. You can also configure alerts, whether for the infrastructure that Striim's running on, application specific, or even at a component level. So if that Oracle reader's event rate reached 0, you could receive an alert. So this just helps in terms of usability, so you don't actually have to be constantly monitoring the UI. Lastly, Striim actually has a fully command line interface. So if you don't want to interact with the UI, you don't have to. But that console is also exposed here within the UI, where there's some additional information not shown in other pages. Lastly, all the applications within the UI are backed by what we call a TQL file. So it essentially looks like PL SQL. So if we go ahead and export this application, we'll open that up in a text editor, and you can get a feeling for what that TQL looks like. So you can see it's very simple syntax, things like create application, create source, and your various connection properties. So we've seen people create either migration or replication factories by creating a simple script to automatically create these applications. And then there's a REST API around Striim. So everything that you saw me doing in the UI can be done via an API. So you can really create a programmatic approach to these migrations and replications. So that's about it that I had in terms of the demo. That was pretty representative of a typical Oracle to DB for Postgres replication. So if you have any questions, please reach out to us at Microsoft@striim.com, and we'd be happy to discuss your use case. Thanks, everyone.